Wednesdays are for people's elbows, super kicks, and springboard cutters. You know what that means. It's the Drop the Mic Wrestling Podcast hosted by Michael Davis on Boom Broadcasting, and it's time to pick up that mic. WWE, you got it all wrong. And no, I'm not even talking about the streaming services, which we covered earlier this week on Out of Pocket. I'm talking about the man you let walk into SummerSlam and attack John Cena in his farewell tour. And all meanwhile, you're going to let the contracts of two up-and-comers expire? What's up? What's up? We're going to talk about this because I need to ask you, why Brock Lesnar? Why did Brock Lesnar return to the WWE? We were doing just fine without him. Now, I dropped an article on FFSN.com through Fans First Sports Network about Brock Lesnar returning, and I have to say, I am very disappointed in the company for bringing Brock Lesnar back and the fashion they did it to. Here's what we have to consider. One is there are some legal allegations in regards to Brock Lesnar and some of his actions while Vince McMahon was in charge. Anyone heard of the name Janelle Grant? If not, you should Google it, or I'm going to spare you. It's disgusting. Now, putting those allegations aside, we know a lot of wrestlers have been given second and third and fourth chances, whether there are serious allegations, whether there's a DUI, whether that's domestic violence. We've seen that through wrestling. We've seen that through sports. We've seen athletes, if they're athletic and gifted enough, if they can draw money in terms of the sports entertainment industry, they get multiple chances. I'm not even going to touch on those allegations, and I'll let everybody make their own decision whether that was called for or not, just in that regard. What I'm more upset about is Brock Lesnar has not been that great for WWE ever since his return, originally when he attacked John Cena. After WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar, John Cena was Lesnar's first match back at Extreme Rules over a decade ago. And now we're just running this back, which I'll get to John Cena and his farewell tour and why that was even a worse decision here in a few minutes. But with Brock Lesnar, he is an established star. And with WWE getting this deal with ESPN to air the premium live events, I'm sure that ESPN wanted a name like Brock Lesnar, a former UFC heavyweight champion. I can totally understand ESPN's logic in terms of the marketability of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is still athletically gifted. Why not use him while he can still work? But we've seen the same old shtick from Brock Lesnar. And the same reason I was so enthused that Goldberg retired at Saturday night's main event in Atlanta against Gunther is the same reason why I'm upset that WWE is taking a chance on Brock Lesnar. One, it's more money. And so you're taking out pockets of somebody else we're going to talk about in a few minutes, Karrion Kross and Scarlett, Ashante the Adonis, whose contract expired earlier this week as well, for Brock Lesnar to come back. You're going to get the same matches from him. You're not going to get anything special. You're not going to get any special programs. He's going to hog a spot at the top of the card. He's always going to want to be the main event or facing off against the main event players. Brock Lesnar he just has a stranglehold on the top spots. And it really costs some of the younger talent who are there week in and week out from moving up the card, even if they're putting in all the hard work, like a Karrion Kross. So for me, Brock Lesnar's return in the long term doesn't do anything for these younger talents. As a matter of fact, it hurts them. It hurts the product. It makes WWE fans less interested in the week-to-week stories if you're going to just bring in Brock Lesnar. As a matter of fact, Brock Lesnar wasn't even on WWE programming the week after he attacked John Cena at the biggest SummerSlam in history. The first ever two-night SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar ends the show attacking John Cena, and there's no follow-up with John Cena the week after. Nothing. As a matter of fact, we're getting Logan Paul versus John Cena at the next premium live event. So that just tells me that Brock Lesnar is not invested in WWE in the direction they need to be going. And this was just a ploy to please ESPN. But what happens is you use that money and you can't use it on Karrion Kross or Scarlett or other talents. But you're also taking away from John Cena's farewell tour because there are 3 confirmed premium live events plus the retirement of John Cena at Saturday night's main event in Boston later this year. You have these matches, and Brock Lesnar's not going to be wrestling Cena at Clash in Paris. So you got one Saudi show, which I would put money on Brock Lesnar at a Saudi show, or you have their Survivor Series. And so that already takes away from what you're doing with these younger talent of like, hey, we've seen John Cena versus Randy Orton, but that's a classic rivalry. I'm okay with seeing it one more time. John Cena, CM Punk, that's one of a classic rivalry. I'm okay seeing it one more time. John Cena versus R-Truth. You know what? It's R-Truth's childhood hero. I'll let that slide. Cody Rhodes. You had to tell a story. You had to have Cody and Cena for the first time at WrestleMania. And then you needed the follow-up for Cody to get the torch from John Cena at SummerSlam. I can understand that. Edge is in AEW as Cope, and he might be having a retirement soon. Hopefully we can get Adam Copeland and Christian Cage against FTR in that retirement match. That would be incredible. But if you're looking at all these younger stars that John Cena could mix it up with, and instead he's fighting Brock Lesnar one more time, and it's not even at the next premium live event, which makes me worried that they've already done Cody and Cena. They're having Cody and Logan, or they're having Cena and Logan Paul at Clash in Paris. Where does that leave Brock Lesnar? Please do not let Brock Lesnar be John Cena's final retirement match. Please. I beg of you. Just like I beg of you that you need to utilize your assets better. Because WWE's making a lot of money now that they've given their premium live events to ESPN, which I'm not happy about, and we've already discussed that on Out of Pocket. But you're going to use this money on Brock Lesnar rather than re-signing Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Now, I want to preface this because I also dropped an article on Fans First Sports Network about this issue. Karrion Kross and Scarlett, I would not be surprised if they have secretly re-signed with WWE. And who knows, maybe WWE allows them to take a couple independent dates. Scarlett posted her booking email on socials, which is very commonplace for people who have been released or their contracts expiring. Now, thankfully, they have let their contracts expire as opposed to being released, or the booking email would come across a little funky, if you will. But if their contracts have expired and they aren't signed to WWE, they are allowed to take bookings. If this isn't a story, if WWE isn't pulling our leg with some elaborate plan to push Karrion Kross and Scarlett up the card when they do appear on WWE television again. This is a mistake. This is a tone-deaf mistake for Karrion Kross and Scarlett to be free agents while you let Brock Lesnar walk back in with, I'm sure, millions of dollars. Because you're not going to pay Karrion and Scarlett millions of dollars right now. They haven't earned it. But Karrion Kross and Scarlett are there week in, week out. They're actually getting the fans behind them, which is the hardest thing for a superstar to do. We know how fickle the fans are. But if Karrion Kross and Scarlett are not under contract secretly with WWE, this was a huge mistake. Now, we have seen in the past Becky Lynch. Her contract expired last year with being a mom, with recovering from some injuries, with having other obligations. I understand letting Becky just take time to herself, take time to be with her daughter, and eventually come back, which she did. But that's not the case with Karrion Kross and Scarlett. If their contracts have expired, this is a huge mistake from WWE. Because just imagine what WWE could actually do with Karrion Kross and Scarlett moving forward. One, if this is a ruse, beautiful. I mean, they played off Seth Rollins and his injury so well. They have the WWE Unreal documentary on Netflix, so they have to blur the lines just a little bit more. So if they're cunning in this way, I give them applause. I give them applause. And I'll drop the mic and I'll walk away and I'll tell them they did a good job. But in the off chance that they've let these contracts expire, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because Karrion Kross could be contending for the United States Championship. He could be contending for the Intercontinental Championship. Karrion Kross could form a faction. Now, we know the Final Testament didn't work out. The Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering no longer in WWE themselves. But Karrion Kross could assemble talents who were underused, underutilized, underappreciated. And he could form a mutiny in the WWE and really could push him. He could also continue altering the careers of Sami Zayn, maybe mixing up with Cody Rhodes, teasing a heel turn. We saw John Cena turn heel. Why not have Karrion Kross tease Cody turning heel? Jey Uso, what he can do with it. There's so much about Karrion Kross and his character, his gimmick, the way he carried himself, that really makes him more interesting than a lot of the people in WWE. Now, Karrion Kross, and I mentioned it in my articles, leading up to premium live events, Karrion Kross got to appear on a Saudi show, King and Queen of the Ring. He got to appear at SummerSlam. And so back-to-back singles, one-on-one matches at premium live events was one. It's an anomaly for Karrion Kross because he hasn't been used like that in the last 3 years. Instead, having these back-to-back before his contract expires is weird. Having these in the midst of promoting his book under his real-life name, very odd to me. This is a very peculiar situation that if Karrion has a contract with WWE, they're keeping it under wraps. And they're doing it like the Seth Rollins injury angle. But Karrion Kross is so valuable to WWE, he didn't need to beat Sami in Saudi Arabia. He didn't need to beat Sami at SummerSlam. The fact that his character can progress even with losses, it's not all about the W's and L's. It's about character development, not only for you, but how do you leave the other person? Do you bury your opposition? Or do you elevate them to the next story or launch them to whatever program they're having next or add layers and depth to your opponent. Karrion Kross does that. Karrion Kross checks all the boxes. I know Adam Cole's promo where you got to get the special interest. You got to get the girl. You know what they do to make Adam Cole feel special? They ring the bell. But Karrion Kross has proven over the last few months, over this summer, that he is special. Why? Because fans actually care about him. So WWE, please pull our leg. Have Karrion Kross and Scarlett under contract. And while you're at it, let's get rid of Brock Lesnar. He's not going to do any good. Let's scrap that plan just like you scrapped Travis Scott and The Rock and whatever was happening with heel John Cena. And let's be fair to our fans who are putting the money in your pockets. Because between Karrion Kross not having a contract, between Brock Lesnar getting a contract, and between WWE giving their premium live events away to ESPN, I mean, the Lesnar news is true. The ESPN news is true. Karrion Kross might be at work. But even if it is, you have swung and missed twice. The only way you don't strike out is if Karrion Kross and Scarlett are indeed under contract. But if they're not, rest assured, we're going to call you out on the Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast on Boom Broadcasting and its YouTube channel. You guys can subscribe. We do a lot of wrestling content, a lot of sports content as well. And if you missed Out of Pocket from this past Monday, you can go check that out as we talk about WWE moving into the premium live event realm, and UFC moving to Paramount, and NFL giving their stuff away to ESPN. Streaming services are ruined. Brock Lesnar's ruining wrestling. John Cena never did. But hopefully Karrion Kross can come back to save it. Guys, that has been your Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast on Boom Broadcasting. Remember, don't drop that mic. And we'll catch you back here for some more content on Boom Broadcasting.